Okay. Oh, I see the live. Okay, so welcome to our principal lunch and learn. And this is our October lunch and learn. We'll try to do this at least once a month. And so we are going to talk about a few items: the schedule, finals. We're also going to speak on library books, and a virtual intruder drill that we're going to talk about, a meet and greet. And but basically, the first part and the main part will be with in regards to the schedule change. And so Miss Allen, our 7th grade assistant principal, and I, we had talked about, and wait, before I do that, can we just have introductions also? And if you say hi, then your screen will light up. And so let's go with our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade assistant principals. Miss Antone.
Good morning, Joy Antone, 6th grade assistant principal. Good afternoon.
Miss Allen.
Hi guys, Sarita Allen, your 7th grade assistant principal.
Hello, I'm Geraldine Harper. I am your 8th grade assistant principal.
Then if we have the school business manager.
Good afternoon, Shonda Beatles, business manager here at Howard Middle School.
Asha Washington, I'm the special education lead teacher here at Howard Middle School.
Tanisha Poe, the instructional technology specialist.
Okay, thank you. And so when I say we, Miss Allen and I had a conversation about how can we be succinct in really discussing some items that center around the schedule, questions, concerns that have been asked by parents. And so we were going to do a news talk show host where I'm the talk show host and asking her questions, but didn't get that done. But we're still going to do that format because we felt like it was succinct. And so I'm going to ask her questions, actually questions that sometimes verbatim on what parents have asked me or concerns. And so we're going to get started. Miss Allen, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So it's good to have you, Miss Allen. David T. Howard has changed the daily student schedule. What is the reason for this, even though the Superintendent Herring announced last week that all students will remain virtual for the remainder of first semester? What are the pros and cons of this new schedule?
Well, remaining virtual is exactly what's the reason behind the schedule change, Dr. Maxwell. As we move into the long haul of virtual teaching, we have to design a school schedule that allows both students and teachers adequate time for teaching and learning. For the start of this school year, we took the first steps to increase the structure of our school day, such as seeing all classes every day. But given that the students had just come off of a quarantine summer break, we started with 40-minute classes. We always expected to adjust the schedule, but the timeline was based on when we received details for returning to the building. And you guys all know that we received that information just this past Friday that we will remain virtual through January. And so classes have been extended by 10 minutes each to slow down the pace of the class, to allow for the same lessons to be covered with more time, but allowing for students to ask questions and have more time inside of the day to complete some independent practice.
Okay, so thank you, Miss Allen, about that. But this brings up the next question. So what about the fact that the overall day is now 40 minutes longer?
I agree. Well, I was able to attend an advisory session on this Wednesday where the new schedule was being shared with the students. The students were allowed to have some discussion around the schedule, and one student replied, "I'm happy about the longer session. Right now, most of the class time is the teacher explaining the notes and taking attendance. We always run out of time to do practice." That is exactly why the class time was extended. And from a teacher's perspective, that teacher said everything had felt rushed. The notes were rushed, the group work was rushed, answering questions for students were rushed, and then having time for independent practice was almost impossible.
Okay, all right, that makes more sense. So my next question is, what about the overall seat time of students in one place? Did the team consider this?
Yeah, we did. But other things that we also considered, not skittered, was the daily asynchronous class is still in place. So that now is 50 minutes of flex time for students to decide how to best use their time, and students attend just one connection class a day. So we actually compared the live session seat time to the original schedule when we started August 24th. At that time, students were attending an advisory session, 4 core, and 2 connection classes that were all live sessions during that first 2 weeks. That equated to 255 minutes of live seat time. In this new schedule, it's advisory, 3 core, 1 connection of a live sessions, and that actually equates to just 240 minutes of live seat time.
Yeah, I see that. And then when I'm just thinking about that, I also remember that in the first 2 weeks, it was for a shorter amount of time in that 255 minutes. So 9 a.m. to 2:30, and now less minutes, but more time in between because it's 60 minutes more of the entire school day.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So here's a question for me, also as a parent, and that is, the question is, what is the message to parents about what they need to do to chat with their children about the new schedule?
Yeah. Well, we appreciate, parents wanting to know, how do I have a conversation with my child about change? Because we know change is inevitable, but our students can receive it better when they are a part of the conversation. So I think that part of it is to tell your students that overall, the goal of the new schedule is to remind them that this is their current 6th grade year, their current 7th grade year, their current 8th grade year. And for that reason, students need enough time in school to actually master the content. So our new schedule builds in class time to complete independent practice and not run out of time for students to ask questions to their teachers. We also think that parents should open the door to a conversation with their child that not every student is thriving in the current schedule of 40 minutes per class. And the added 10 minutes per class could benefit all students who need additional help during the day.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Allen, for answering these questions. And again, to the parents that are watching this, we just felt like we had a lot of questions around these, 3 or 4 questions that we have seen and that we wanted to answer for you. And so with that, I do want to say a few more things about the schedule. First of all, I apologize for saying that there's 10 days between Thanksgiving and the holiday break. And so when we implement the schedule on Monday, that we'll have 6 days, and then we'll have the election day, which we are off on that day, and then 13 days, then Thanksgiving, and then 15 days after that. Also to let you know is that we will be talking very soon, just at a principal's meeting today, we're going to be talking very soon about what does January look like. January, not the 15th, but the 19th. So that second semester. And so we're going to start planning for this. Also wanted to let you know, and I think reiterate what Ms. Allen said at the end about the mastery of content, is, we had conversation with staff, so the leadership team, the teachers, around that. And this is obviously the worst case scenario would be that, we would be virtual for the remainder of the year. And we hope that that doesn't happen. But what if it does? And then the next fall, the 8th grader goes into 9th grade and they go face to face, or the 7th grader goes into 8th grade and again, 6th to 7th, as far as that they're going to be prepared from an academic lens for that next year, but especially that 8th to 9th grade, because that is a huge transition. And so that was the other part of that conversation. And so looking at how we can continue with the rigor, give them some more time of independent work and homework at the end of the class. And so that is it about schedules. I do want to have a conversation around other information that we want to share, but I'm going to pause here just to see if And we can come back to the schedule too. We're going to have questions at the end. Ms. Poe, can I go on? I just want to make sure. Or Ms. Beatles. We're good? Okay. The one thing we listened to in the last Lunch and Learn is that we had a lot of parents who said, we want to meet the teachers. You know, that the meet and greet was really for the kids, and we stood in the background. You know, we, as in the parents, stood in the background so because we wanted, you know, our children to meet the teachers. And so we had talked in the last time that we are definitely discussing this, but we wanted to see how this second quarter is going to play out. And obviously we know it's virtual. And so our plan is to do a meet and greet with the parents. So whether we call that meet and greet or parent night, and we're going to get that date out very soon, sometime next week, hopefully early next week, because we want it to be in early November. And the other reason why to do this, and something else that we want to remind you, is that connections may be changing. For a few, no connections will be changing. If it is if your child is in 2 all-year connections classes, but for many of the students, they will be changing 1 or 2 connections classes. And just so that's a reminder. And then you can also, again, another reason to have that meet and greet is to meet those new connections teachers along with all the teachers that are teaching your children. We are also going to do a virtual intruder drill. And I want to just kind of tee it up for Ms. Poe, who's going to talk about it. But we've had a couple situations where even though that we have had everything working in Zoom, that they have you know, made sure that they authenticated, that we had a couple of hacks coming in. And so just like a teacher, if a teacher walked into David T. Howard and they didn't know if the fire alarm was pulled, where to go, then that would be a huge problem and something that we as an administrative team are not doing. We're not giving them that information. And so what we want to try to do is to do a drill that if there is someone that comes into the Zoom link, their Zoom class, what are they going to do? And so we are going to do a virtual intruder drill. So Ms. Poe, would you want to talk a little bit more about that? Oh, I see your dog is.
I'm sorry. There's someone in the neighborhood, and my very protective big dog is trying to save us all from the bad guys.
You want me to talk about it, Ms. Poe? I can talk about it, Ms. Poe.
Yes, please. I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine. That's okay. No, I'm good. And so what we're going to do, and we don't want to get into details because, and just like any drill, you don't want to give to the community like exactly like the links on what we're going to do in this case. But we want the parents to be involved. Like once we have the date and time, we're going to give out that information. But basically, if we are going to make sure that the kids are, if they see something, they're going to say something, and they're going to talk to the teacher about like if they see someone that is not supposed to be in Zoom, and that they are going to move to a Google Meet. And so the kids will know what that Google Meet will be. And so they're going to move in there, and then the teacher will teach from there. And then what the teacher has to do is create another Zoom link that will be provided. And so the next day they'll have another Zoom link. And then the teacher has a Google form to fill out on exactly what happened. But we feel like that's really important because, again, we don't want teachers to get into this situation and not know what to do. And so look for that in the coming week to provide that drill. And so we have a question. Do we have any metrics, grades, observations about academic performance of students? How does it compare to previous quarters? How are the kids doing? Engagement, morale was one of the questions.
We also have one before that.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
That Ms. Allen is going to address, and then we'll answer that second one.
Yeah. So the question before that one was address milestones, if they will happen, how will they count in this pandemic world and non-pandemic world? When do the results come in? Just those type of questions. I actually am the testing coordinator, so I do receive a lot of that information. We are following the directive of Superintendent Richard Woods for the State Department of Georgia. He sends out weekly newsletters and lets us know sometimes his opinion and sometimes the newest bills or whatnot as it relates to that. As of right now, with our current president, we will be testing for Georgia milestones. However, if we get a different president, maybe when they put in a waiver, because the Superintendent Woods did put in a waiver, that waiver was denied among all of the other states as well. So we were not like the only ones, but it was denied. And so that means that we will be testing. Different president, maybe something different outcome. However, moving forward, Superintendent Woods said to us is that, just didn't feel like now is the right time to be testing. So therefore, they've just assured us that while we will do testing, because, it's lawful, we have to follow the law and do it, we won't put the pressure of high stakes testing that has occurred in the past. You may have heard me say before that we're having conversations with our teachers that even though it feels like sometimes we have a full school day, I can tell you that the teachers don't feel like it's a school day. They feel like the day is cut in half, no matter how many minutes, because there's so many other factors that come into play with this digital world. So my point is that we are making sure that the teachers focus on essential standards. They're taking their full year standards and looking at them and saying, like, what's most important for lifelong skills and what's most important for the next grade to be successful at. And that's what they're focused to make sure that kids just learn. And so we're really talking about slowing down the pace and those type of things. And so if you think about testing, right, like the Superintendent Woods told us, don't take off 2 weeks to just review for the standardized test. They made it very clear. Use that time to make sure that you're connecting with students and just ensuring that students have learned what you deem to be essential for the year. And that is the directive that we are following. So as we get closer, and because it's still all in play, as we get closer, which will be close in January, when we learn more information about the exact dates, we will, of course, let you know. As we learn information about whether we're in the building or virtual, we will let you know that. So there's a lot of information that we don't have right now as it relates to milestones. The only thing I can say is that we will be testing, but we want to keep the anxiety low. We want to keep it feel calm. That's kind of like the message that we're telling our teachers right now, who probably have not yet communicated that to students, because we really don't know much about testing. So hopefully that answers some of your questions there.
And Ms. Allen, will you also talk about?
Ms. Allen, will you talk about STAR real quick?
I'm
sorry, what?
That was pretty much a good question there, because that question ties into the second question, which was, how do we have a measure of how students are performing this year versus last year? So STAR is one of them. It's a computer adaptive test. It's called a universal screener. It just means that we have all students take it, and it tells students their ability and compared to students nationwide. And so we took STAR in August. We will take STAR again the first week in December. And so if you are here watching this video, what we want to press upon you is please make sure your kid is in attendance. STAR right now is our main indicator that we have to know if students are growing. So we will use that data in December to see how much students have grown from August. You guys also know that we've been doing data chats with our students. And so we did that back in September. We will do that again, probably in January, but we'll have those conversations with students so that they can see their own growth from August to the time that they took that in December. So that is going to be a gauge of us, how our students are performing. Are we able to see more growth in this 2021 school year compared to the 1920 school year? Things that we have conversations with our teachers about is I do send failure rates to the teachers. And so they know, like at the 4.5 week, what's the percentage of students that you have failing? And they would be able to compare that to the email that they received last year. But one person specifically, you asked about the engagement of students. We do find ourselves having some difficulty with engagement from a variety of students. I can tell you, if you have Miss Jo, she would happily want me to share that some of your kids are on YouTube. And so she says that sometimes when she's teaching about fractions, she sees the faces just light up, right? And that's letting her know. And then they start to chuckle and she's like, you're probably watching YouTube because I can see the video in your glass lens. So just kind of saying like there are a few more distractions, obviously, with the students at home. And we plan to have a town hall with students themselves next week sometime in every grade level to just address that, right? Like try to get them to persevere through, all the distractions that could come their way, such as YouTube or whatnot, but to try to get them to focus in. And teachers are having conversations about how do we get the engagement? How do we make sure that our lessons really are engaging? You might hear them use something like Nearpod. Nearpod's pretty cool from a teacher sense because when the kids lock in, then it kind of takes hold of their screen and they can't go to another website while the Nearpod lesson is in. So that helps to defer that. But the teachers want to provide a variety of activities and lessons, and so they don't use Nearpod every day.
I just want to follow up with a couple things, and I mean, Ms. Allen answered that question pretty thoroughly, but just a couple different things. One is that we have, and your child might have already talked about this, is they might call them CFAs or common formative assessments. And so those are 6 questions. All the core teachers give those like every couple of weeks, and then they go over that, which is so important. It's more important than milestones. It's more important in STAR from the standpoint of what do they know, and if they don't know it, then we need to reteach. And I just went into a 6th grade math a collaborative team meeting when they looked at that data, and basically there were 4 questions that basically every kid, and the colors are like green or yellow or red, but there were a couple, the last 2 questions, especially the last question where it was in red, but only 48% of the kids basically got that question right. So they know that they're going to have to reteach that. And so that happens every 10 to 12 days. And that's so key. And it's not for a grade. And how they take it seriously is sometimes the teachers like are even competitive with one another in different classes, but that information is so important to provide that feedback. So it really drives their instruction for sometimes the next class. So I think that's an important part that we do. And we did this before virtual, but it's so much more important for virtual because they can't really, they can't see or walk around or have that conversation when you're face to face. So that's really important. The question about morale is, that's a tough one because, most teachers, most staff are just torn, right? I mean, they're nervous about COVID and about the health implications for them or their family, but they want to see the students. And so, I feel like our staff's doing the very best they can virtually. And one way I could answer that question about morale is I don't know how many staff in other school buildings would say, oh, actually, we want more minutes. We want more minutes with the kids, right? I mean, I think that shows our staff to say, like, I need more time with the students because I'm not getting to them all the information I need, or I'm rushed and they're not giving that independent work. And so I'm proud of our staff. I'm proud of the staff that we have that say that. And overwhelmingly, that's what they wanted to do. Not for them, right? Because they have kids at home, they have issues, but it was for the students. It's to provide more and better instruction for the students. So that's how I would answer that question.
And there was one more question that kind of related back to when I said STAR. They just asked about how do parents get the STAR results. And so let me clarify. We got some conflicting information from the STAR reps at the beginning of the year. There's a website. It is called Home Connect. I believe the ELA teachers shared the website on their Google Classroom to their students. It's not as helpful yet because what has to happen is you want to set it up before the next STAR administration. So I'm kind of telling you what we plan to do so that parents can get those reports and scores, and then we probably will need actually some feedback, since it'll be the first time we do it. But the way it will work is right before we take the next star, so very soon, because we're moving into November, we will have the students log into this website called Home Connect, and they will enter, I think they can enter a couple of parent or guardian email addresses. And once that email address is in there, the next time that they do something in the Renaissance platform, such as an AR quiz or the STAR assessment, then the parents will receive an email of that STAR score. What I don't know, because it'll be the first round that we have done this, is it a report with the score? I don't know that information. And so that's what we would need feedback from any parent. I know you all will be happy to share that. Like, did it describe what that score was about? Yeah, okay. So that's the way it's going to work. And if it doesn't give you a description about the score and it just tells the score, I do still have a way that I can get just a uniform template to tell you the explanation of the scores as it relates to your child without, because yeah, so just to clarify, that's what it is.
And I want to follow up. I think this is a great time again to talk about, since we're talking about testing, is about finals. And we're going to talk more about that in November. But just wanted to let you know, is because we want to increase the instructional time, that we're not going to have finals like we've had finals in the past. And if you're in sixth grade parent, you would know that anyway, is that we're not going to have, because finals, as many of you know, or all of you know, in high school or college, you have finals because it ends a semester, and the next semester may be, and probably is in college, with a different professor or a different teacher in high school. And other than connections, your core teachers, you're going to have the same core teachers. And again, because of the minutes that we have less minutes, even with the 50 minutes, is that we want to just continue with, we just want to continue with the instruction. And so it might be like a unit test, because they end a unit at the end of December, or the December date, or January, and then they're just going to move on. So that's a little bit about finals. The last thing I want to say, because I think it really comes to that question, I love the question with the metric, the metric question, because you have a lot in there, is that one of the issues that we have talked about a lot is our most vulnerable students. So we have students who are not having are having tough time connecting. So they have connectivity issues, they have Wi-Fi issues. And so we're really trying to figure out what we need to do, because what we have found out, and we're looking at this data now, and I don't have the data in front of me, but we have students who did not perform well last year in a face-to-face environment. They're actually performing better in a virtual environment. But we have students who did well for the face-to-face last year, but are not doing well in the virtual environment. And that has to do many times with those connectivity issues. And so I'm on a task force that we're having that conversation actually next Tuesday. And so we may be coming in, and the next time we talk from a lunch and learn, is having a conversation about how we can help them as a staff and as a community. Okay, so the next question, how do students communicate with each other today since Google Hangouts are shut off? I do not know that, Ms. Poe.
Ms. Poe said she's taking care of it.
Yeah, I'm going to check into that. I don't know why Google Hangouts got turned off. I'm thinking maybe it's just like a minor glitch or something going on, but I will check into that and get it fixed as soon as possible.
I do know the app, like Google Meet app, it did change. Did you see the app itself changed yesterday? I thought that was interesting. I don't know if that had something to do with it.
I bet you it does. It's probably a Google update, and our system just hasn't caught up with it. So it blocked it inadvertently. I'll check into it.
But also, Ms. Poe, I received a thing on my phone that said they'll no longer have Google Hangout. They're switching it over to Google Voice. So it may be canceled out completely. We still have Google Meet, but not Google Hangout.
Yeah. So that's a possibility that's gone ahead and went into play. And I know our students haven't been able to create a Google Meet on their own. So that's, I'll just look into it and see what all I can do to get it fixed and what we can do. I know Google Voice is blocked by the district as well. So I'll investigate and I'll let you know something ASAP.
Okay. library books. Miss Neal, can you talk a little bit about library books and then we can get to the next question? I don't know if she's still on here.
I am here. Can everybody see and hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Okay, so we are going to begin some curbside pickup for library books. We have been doing some limited circulation since the beginning of the school year. And I'll put a link in the chat in just a minute when I'm able to pop back over there. But on the website for the library, students can submit a book request to me. There's a little red request box on the website. And students have been doing that. And most of them, we've been able to connect them with books with our e-resources, which we have a lot available to us. But we also want to be able to circulate some of our print books that we have in the library. So stay tuned. We're going to be putting out information about how that's going to work. But the key things for you to know are that students will request their books either through the request form or by contacting me directly by email, and then we'll have them available for pickup outside the school. And of course, I will still be directing the kids who are fine with e-resources to ebooks and audiobooks and all of that good stuff, since we have a lot of that at our disposal as well through our ClassPass partnership with Fulton County Library. And kids can also get print books through ClassPass. I've been doing it. I use my ClassPass all the time. And super easy to have a contactless pickup with the local public library. I can help students navigate that as well. They just did an update yesterday on the website, and it looks so amazing. It's so much more vibrant, and all the interaction is still the same. The login's still the same, but it just looks really much more interesting and interactive. So please do be on the lookout. I do share my weekly s'more in Google Classroom with the kids. I also share it on the library Facebook page, and it also comes out in the RAM report. So I'll be sharing more information about curbside pickup through that.
Dr. Maxwell, there's a question about hotspots that I want to address.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Neal. Thank you, Ms. Neal.
That was great. And ClassPass is awesome. I use it every day. The district did give out hotspots, but then we ran out of, well, not we, but the district ran out of hotspots and placed an additional order. And between time, while Howard was waiting for our additional orders, the district has recently changed the process as to how students who still need hotspots receive hotspots. So we're in the process of placing the order again. Unfortunately, hotspots work like cell phones. They only work if there's a really good signal. And also, just like a cell phone hotspot, it's not as strong as you would like when it comes to Zoom and some of those things. The other question was about Comcast helping. Yes, Comcast has helped, but unfortunately, some of the older buildings aren't compatible with Comcast service. And those buildings are also where some of our most vulnerable students live. So we're still in the process of getting a solution that works best for all of our students, including those who are in areas where Comcast and their additional services don't work, as well as making sure we can finally get hotspots for those few students who were left off of the hotspot list.
Other questions? I do want to say that we really appreciate the parent feedback that comes from the PTO. And so there are some concerns in there where we're not really answering, but we are listening. And so I think there was one concern about blocking distracting websites. And so we're going to give that to Ms. Poe. And so we are definitely looking into that. I mean, hopefully we come back in January. I hope that we do, but if we do not, whether we do or do not, we will have new laptops. So the laptops will be coming in. That will be very helpful. And also we are, along with those laptops, we have a app that you can look at right now. You could Google it. It's called Dyno, D-Y-K-N-O-W. And so that is a way for us, whether we are remote or whether they're using laptops in the classroom, that the teacher can see all of their screens on his or her laptop at the same time. And so that's one thing that will be very helpful for teachers. Parents will like, kids may not like, but definitely that's something that's coming in January.
Dr. Maxwell, there was a question about sports.
Oh yeah, so sports, which I have that. I have a couple more items. One is that the winter sports season, it has been canceled by Jasper Jewell, who is the middle school athletic director for Atlanta Public Schools. And so, which is focused from an APS sport is basketball. And so that means club sports also. And so what does that mean as far as workouts and that sort of thing? I know Coach Dion and Coach Abernathy will be having a conversation. We also have a part of the PTO is an athletic booster club, and the president is Mr. Rebelo. And so he's going to be a part of that conversation to figure out like what will sports look like in December and January and in the future. Ms. Antone, did you want to talk a little bit about the PBIS celebrations? You're on mute right now.
Sorry about that. On October 30th, we will be having our PBIS celebrations, and this PBIS is positive behavior interventions and supports, where we try to recognize all of our students for the great behavior that they have been exhibiting, and all of our students will be included. All of our grade levels are just talking about what they want to do, getting feedback from students, and just trying to do some things just for the kids to let their hair down on next Friday during the advisory time or other decide upon time by that grade level, so that students can get a chance to connect with others that they may have not connected with in some of their classes, to play some games, maybe even dance, watch a movie, but just some things that they can have, a little fun. But it's something that we try to do. I know when we were face-to-face once a month, and as we have students who may have some challenges, with behavior, the purpose is making sure that we're focusing in on academics and behavior, and making sure that we're providing interventions for students who have those behavior challenges. And so making sure that we're looking at both ends and rewarding those students for the great work that they're doing. And so that will be October 30th of next week.
Thank you, Ms. Antone. Dr. Harper, I put something in the chat. I don't know if you could answer this. And it is just as far as quarter-one grades, like if I'm a parent, like when will I be able to see my child's grades? I know the teachers have to post those grades. Could you answer that?
Of course. So the quarter-one grades will be posted on October the 28th, and they will be finalized for parents to view in Infinite Campus on October the 30th. So whatever is in Infinite Campus under either mid-semester or quarter is the final grade for this term. The quarter grade, if your child is in a 9-week class, it is a final grade that will be transferred over to your child's transcript. But for all of the core classes or year-long connections like band, chorus, orchestra, or world language, those grades are not final until January, and that date is January 22nd. The end of the term is the 15th, I believe. And so the January 22nd date is the date that all grades are final and become part of your child's permanent record for first semester. Did you all see any questions for me, Beatles or Paul?
No, you've answered it. Thank you.
Before we get off of this lunch and learn, I do have some bittersweet news, and that is Officer Littles has been promoted, and we are really excited for her. And if you're a 7th or 8th grade parent, I'm sure you definitely know Officer Littles, and so key for Inman for many years. And even at David T. Howard, though you haven't seen her at work, she has been instrumental at making sure this building is safe and secure. And so Officer Littles is being promoted to like the Atlanta Public School police kind of central office, and hopefully maybe she can come back in November and explain her position. But we feel like, at least I feel like, that you could see her as a chief of police someday. I mean, that's how much I think of her. And again, it's been instrumental for me and for Inman for many years. And so her last day will be sometime in November, and we're working on interviewing some candidates, and hopefully we'll be able to, in the next Lunch and Learn, provide a name and be able to introduce this police officer or this SRO to David T. Howard. Any other questions?
There's a question in the chat that says, what do we need to do to amend VCLP? Have questions regarding class test structure and questions as it relates to those subjects that are supported by a para and not a co-teacher.
Can you say the question again, Ms. Beatles? I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. It says, what do we need to do to amend VCLP and have questions regarding class test structure and questions as it relates to those subjects that are supported by a para and not a co-teacher?
So to make any amendments to the virtual learning contingency plan or any questions you have about supportive instruction classes, you should reach out to your child's case manager. If you do not know who that is, and you can reach out to me here at the school, it's Asha, ASHA, Paul, Washington, cuts off at the T, so no O-N, at apsk12.org, and my email is also available on the Howard website, and we will assist you with that.
Ms. Beatles, could you put that on the YouTube chat for email? Thank you. Any other questions? No? The last thing I want to say is just to thank the parents, the community, as we continue down this road that no one knows where it's going to end, and no one even knew this road existed, and we're going down for the very first time. Thank you for your grace, and as we were making decisions to try to do what's best, what we feel like is best for the students and the teachers and the parents. And we will continue to monitor every decision that we have made, and we will tweak anything that we need for the betterment of David T. Howard, to all the stakeholders at David T. Howard. And so again, just thank all of you for your support, and you have a great weekend, a wonderful weekend, and I'm sure we'll be talking